Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to talk about what I consider to be one of the most powerful, less used spells in all of D&D. It's a magic user spell. It's Telekinesis, a 5th level MU spell. As a 5th level spell, you would get it as a 9th level magic user. For purposes of this video and just ease of math and everything else, I'm going to base everything on a 10th level mage. So for Telekinesis, an alteration spell, level 5, range is 10 feet per level. Duration is 2 rounds plus 1 round per level, so that'd be 12 rounds at 10th level. Area of effect, 250 gold piece weight per level. 10 gold pieces equal a pound, so it's 25 pounds per level, times 10th level is 250 pounds. Components are verbal and somatic. Casting time is 5 segments, and there is no saving throw, and that is one of the important aspects of this spell. By means of the spell, the magic user is able to move objects by will, forced by concentrating on moving items mentally. The telekinesis spell causes the desired object to move vertically or horizontally, or any mix thereof. Movement is 20 feet the first round, 40 feet the second, 80 feet the third, and so on. Heavy objects traveling at high speed can be deadly weapons. I've read early on in AD&D the fabled spinning arrow. The magic user uses telekinesis, spins the arrow, and then shoots it into an opponent and does massive amounts of damage with just a simple arrow. Note that telekinesis can be used to move objects that fall within the weight capacity of the spell, but if they are able to employ a simple countermeasure, such as an enlarge spell, for example, thus making the body weight go over the maximum spell limit, it's easily countered. I'll go further than that, and I'll say that generally, if I have a decent enough strength, basically an athletic strength 12 or up, if I can just grab a table that's bolted to the floor or a counter of some kind, that will counter the telekinesis, but my feet will be up in the air. I won't be able to do anything other than hold on. Eventually, my grip is going to slip, and I'm going to go floating away. Likewise, if ambulation of some other form of motive power, such as wings, you can counter it. It will counter it, and then it says here, it will counter it up to 1,660 feet per round. The various Bigby's hand spells will also counter the spell, as will many other magics. So telekinesis seems like it's just, who cares? Except 25 pounds per level, 10th level, 250 pounds. That's going to be an elf in armor. That's going to be a smaller man in, maybe not plate, but in armor with some gear. I had a bad guy that I used years and years ago, and he harassed the players straight through. He started with them probably when they were about 5th level, and he was their gadfly and always in the works and always causing problems for them up until about 10th or 11th level. And I did this big showdown, and this is before the days of video game bosses. This was just something I was doing in my game. This is about the mid-'80s. And they were prepping for this big showdown that they all knew was going to come soon. And the party met this guy, and he had his various minions with him, and they went ahead and they started battling. And the mage stood back, magic user, cast telekinesis, hit the big guy with it as the big guy was running into melee, lifted him up in the air, and held him there, about 5-6 feet off the floor. The players easily mopped up his minions without him there to support them, and then they played piñata with this guy. He was stuck. The mage spun him a little bit to confuse and disorient him. He had no magical abilities. He couldn't enlarge himself. He couldn't cast fly on himself. He couldn't do anything like that. By the way, I would not allow fly to overcome the telekinesis. They might be able to change their movement a little bit, but the telekinesis, I would say, would overwhelm the fly. In other words, I'd be able to hold them in place. I'd be able to spin them. And so back to my piñata episode, here's this big bad evil guy that I spent all this time getting ready, and this is going to be a great fight, and I figured I'd drop a couple of the players and maybe even kill a couple forever, and I was all excited about it, and they made him float and spun him a little bit to keep him dizzy, and then when the rest of the party was done with his minions, they walked over, and like I said, they made a piñata out of the guy. So he died. Our agreement was that he'd be dead for good. I do that with my big bad evil guys. I don't bring them back chumpy comic book deaths. If players beat me, in this case they did, then they go ahead and they get to savor the kill. So that's really all I've got to say on telekinesis. I think this is one of the vastly underrated spells in all of D&D. There's an argument for some finer manipulation, such as could I disrupt a flying creature's wings using telekinesis? Well, maybe not both wings, but maybe one. And any winged creature that's using wings to fly and suddenly can't use a wing or can't use it in the way that they're used to isn't going to be able to stay on course and may not be able to stay in the air. I've seen it used like that a couple of times. Telekinesis is actually one my players sometimes take at my table. I wish they'd take it more often. My bad guys take it, and you'd think my players had learned by now. But maybe after they see this video, they will. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. Interestingly, there are no notes on telekinesis in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which has a lot of notes on a lot of the spells in the Player's Handbook. No notes for telekinesis. So that's all I've got to say today on page 121. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and leave some comments. If you haven't joined the channel, please do. And I'll see you next time.